Hello everyone, this is Derek with Mourningstar Studios. This is for the top 10 games. This is my personal one. Just to keep in mind, this is part of a whole series of top 10 games where we're all doing it, and then at the end we're planning on having a roundtable discussion about our favorite games. Just a little basis of what my history of gaming has been. I've played all the way from the original Nintendo all the way to the Wii. I haven't touched the Wii U. I've played on the PS1 and the PS2, the Xbox and the 360, and I am a PC gamer. I've played handhelds, but that's also not going to come into a factor. Starting off the list here, I got one of my favorite first-person shooters, Rainbow Six Vegas 2. It's not the most beautiful looking game, and it's not usually a popular one, but for some reason I just love that game. You can customize your armor, and you can customize your clothing your character's wearing, so you can make your character really fast or really slow, but he's taking a lot of damage. The weapons and the weapon attachments, the customization for the weapons are great. My favorite game mode is in that terrorist hunt. They just put you in a map, say, here, there's 26 terrorists in this map, you have to go eliminate them all. Which adds my downright favorite part of the game, the banter for the terrorists. You shoot them and you hear them shout the most ridiculous things. My favorite one is when you kill them, you can hear off in the distance somebody say, hey, that guy owed me money. And this game I used to play with one of my best friends, Josh, and right there, that escalates that game to one of my top favorites automatically. Number 9, Tetris. It's simple, such a simple game, but it's so good, and it's simple, but it gets harder and harder and harder and harder as you go on, which is great. And they've added so many different types of game types. They've got the regular one, and they've got like Hotline, and it's just, they've taken what they've had and just built on it over the years. And I love the fact that it's a strategy game and it's a puzzle game. And, you know, me and my family have played it so much, and we have our particular strategies that we like to do in it, and we've gotten pretty good over the years. And you can get it on almost anything. I have it on my phone, I have it on, you know, my Xbox, I've got it on PC. I can play it anywhere I want to go. And it's fantastic. Number 8, Mario Party. It's a classic game. It's a classic Nintendo game. It's fun with groups. It's fun to play with your family. That's who I used to play with all the time, was my grandparents. And it's a light-hearted game, which is nice. And there's so many different mini games. There's so many different things to do. Especially now, I haven't played many of the later ones, but like 2, 3, 4, those were some of my favorites. And from what I remember, the board games were really fun. They got a little repetitive towards the end, but it was just, the core experience of it was very fun, and all the challenges were pretty challenging, especially when you were playing with people who knew what they were doing. My number 7 game is also actually a Mario game, Mario Kart Double Dash. I picked Double Dash out of all the Mario Karts because that was definitely my favorite one. It's another one that was fun to play with the family, fun to play with friends. I loved the fact that you got to pick 2 characters instead of just one and have them switch just mid-race, just have them rotate around where they were going. You could hold 2 items with them. And, I mean, who can forget the best part of Mario Kart? Absolutely destroying your friendships with people. Because if any game you play will do it, it is Mario Kart. Keeping right along with Nintendo, number 6 is going to be Super Smash Bros. Melee. I liked the original, and I liked Brawl, but Melee definitely took the cake for me. It had a great lineup of characters. The stages were amazing. My favorite character was Link, and you know, I could go with young Link. He was all right, not as strong, but he was a little faster. But Link did the trick for me. And it's another great game to play with friends. It's another great game to destroy friendships if you want to, if you're into that kind of thing also. And it's just that whole list of challenges that you had, those single-player challenges, it's fantastic. I spent hours playing those, and I don't even think I actually even ended up beating all of them because some of them just got really hard towards the end. Alright, moving on. Number 5, World of Warcraft. It's the MMO. It's been out for a while, about 10 years now, but I love it. I still play it all the time. I've played it since the beginning. It came out, and my family, my dad and I we picked it up almost automatically. I took a long break, but I came back to it. It's been out for so long, so it's got a ton of content to play. It's got a large community of players. You've got all these different races and all these different classes that you can play, and all the classes and the races, they're good. They're, this is what this character is supposed to be doing. This is what this character is supposed to be. Their powers are supposed to be based on. And I've invested so much time into this game, and I can't not put it on this list with the amount of time I've invested into this game. And I could, if I were to get into it, the lore and the history of this game, I could just invest all the time that I've invested and double that, because there's just so much to this game. Number 5 is going to be Rock Band. I love my music games. I started on Guitar Hero 2, and Rock Band, it was better for me. It took the guitar and it added onto it with the rest of the instruments. I still love Guitar Hero, but I am giving it to Rock Band. The instruments, they're fun to play. I love music. They're challenging. I've gone all the way to expert for most of the instruments, except for the keyboards, because I haven't really practiced on them much. But everything else I play. But I've played it so much, but it's still such a challenge, and it's one of those games where if you don't play it for a while, you lose the ability, and you have to retrain yourself. I love this game. So much that I've spent so much money on this game with all the downloadable content and all the downloadable songs. I've easily dropped at least $300 into all the downloadable content over the years that I've had this game, and it's just ridiculous the amount that I've spent on it. And it's another game that's fun to play with friends, especially if they're a little under the influence, but we don't really have to talk about that. The next one, number 3, is going to be The Elder Scrolls Skyrim. I had a hard time. I wanted to either include Skyrim or one of the Fallout games, but in the end I went with Skyrim because just the amount of time that I've invested into that game compared to those ones, and just the amount of things to do in that game. When I first started playing it, I completed the tutorial mission in Helgen when you first get attacked by the dragon, and I said, no, I'm not going to do the main storyline for a little while. I'm going to do side quests and side missions and just see what I find. And I don't think I came back to the main storyline until I was like level 30, which is huge, and I still had a ton of things to do with that character even after I finished the storyline. And I like the leveling system. I like how it was in its predecessor Oblivion, where you had these set of skills that you could level off of. You can take any of your skills, you can level any of them up, and they all help you increase your level. And even if you have spent all your time doing this one thing, I spent all the way to level 30 or 40 being a stealthy character with two dual-wielding weapons, and I was like, you know what? I want to try something else. So I put on some heavy armor and picked up a heavy sword and just went to town like that. And it was fine. I didn't have all the perks, but it worked, and it was still amazing and fun. And the DLC that they came out with was great. I loved it. I loved Dawnguard. I loved the one where you could build your own house, and I loved Dragonborn, where you find the other Dragonborn. They were all very nicely well done, and they all added content to the game and didn't take away from the actual game. And it's hard to mention Skyrim without just mentioning the beauty of the game, because it was beautiful. Even I didn't have any of the texture packs that people made because I played it on the Xbox, but even even without them, looking off of a cliff, just beautiful, looking up at the sky and seeing all the stars and the northern lights. It's beautiful, and if it was real, it'd probably be breathtaking. Number 2 for my list is going to be the Mass Effect series. I didn't want to include just one game for this series, especially because it's just, for me, that series has to be taken in as a whole, which is how they designed the game, because you're making choices in the first game. Oh, do I kill this character, or do I let him live and try and save him? Because when you save him, he's coming up in the second game, and he's coming up in the third, and he's helping you out. Or he might be screwing you never know. And it's just that kind of thing that I love. I saved this guy's life in the first game. I stumbled upon him. I didn't even realize he was there in my first playthrough. But, and then I'm going through the second game, and holy crap, it's that guy again. I saved him. I remember him. And then in the third game, oh shit, now he's dead. I couldn't save him this time, but there he is. And, I love the story. I love the characters. I mean, the ending wasn't the greatest, and I was kind of hoping for more, wow, okay, so that's how that action affected that ending, but it all kind of got blended together, which was okay, because, as they say, it's not the destination, it's the journey and how you get there. And the characters are fantastic. Garrus, Rex, Grunt, Tally, they're fantastic. I love them, and the character development in that game I thought was great. I loved the third one when you're hanging out with Garrus and just shooting cans. I seriously, I probably almost cried during that scene the first time I played it. I loved it so much because it was just the friendship between the two characters. I could feel it, and yeah, I love this game so much. My computer desktop is the N7 logo. My Wi-Fi is named Brannick, which is one of the planets in that game. My shoes, I have shoes that say N7 on them, and my sweater, that's got an N7 logo on it. Even my phone is named Booker Vicarian, because I have to name my phone when I first get it, which is the first character from Bioshock Infinite, and then Vicarian, which is Garrus Vicarian from Mass Effect. So I love this game. The first one, it had such a great story, and the second one, the story wasn't as good, but the combat they really were able to polish. And then the third, I just felt like it had the perfect blend of the two, and they really just brought it together for a great finale. And the third one, the multiplayer was just fantastic. I play it with my roommate all the time because it's just we love it so much, and especially him. He almost has all the characters unlocked. I have a ton of them too. And all the characters are so much fun to play, and they all have these different powers, and you have all these different weapons you can use, and it's just, you don't often find yourself in a game with somebody playing the same exact character the same way you do. I've seen people playing characters, me and somebody else will come in the game with the same character, but he's using it a completely different way than I'm using it. And it's just, I love that. And they have so many different abilities, and it's just, I can't express enough how much I love that series and I love that game. But, it's not my favorite. But before we go on to my favorite, I'm going to mention some honorable mentions that were really close to making the list, but didn't quite make the list. The first one is going to be Assassin's Creed. I've decided that my favorite Assassin's Creed was Black Flag. I actually just recently started getting that, and I recently started playing it. I actually haven't finished it yet, but I've already decided that's my favorite because it's got all the free running and the stealth that the other ones had, and it's still got the combat system that I love. It's a very simple combat system, but I still love it. And the stories, the story between the Templars and the Assassins, it's just so. It's a good story. I like how it goes so far back in time, and it's just they bring it up into the modern times, and it's still coming, and it's still coming on, and it's still going, and their like eternal battle is still just being waged. And they added multiplayer, which is great. And the different game types in multiplayer were fun. And the reason Black Flag's my favorite is largely in part due to the naval system, where you get to command your own ship and you get to do the naval combat and you get to board ships. It's one of my favorite parts. I've spent 2 hours before just taking down ships, incapacitating them, and then boarding them and taking their ship, and just sayonara. Alright, off to find my next ship. It was a good series. The next one is going to be Saints Row 4. Saints Row series I've loved. It was one of the first games I played on Xbox, the Xbox 360. I spent a lot of time playing the first Saints Row, but the fourth one is just my favorite. If you haven't played Saints Row before, it's Grand Theft Auto on crack. You run around with guns and steal cars, but it's ridiculous. The character customization in it is fantastic. You get to customize their face and the whole 9 yards, and the different clothing are fantastic, and the different costumes are fantastic. I remember in the third one you could be a toilet if you wanted, which I never really did. I think I put on the toilet costume and then jumped off a skyscraper just to kind of see how that would go. It was funny. Let's just say that. And Nolan North is one of the voice actors for the fourth one. You could have his voice as the main characters, which was great because he's hilarious and he just makes everything funny. And the fourth one, it added superpowers, so you were running around really fast, which I loved, but at the same time sucked because it eliminated the use of cars. And the car customization in that game was also awesome, and I had my favorite cars, the Raycaster. It was beautiful, but running around at Mach speed was fantastic. Running straight across water was great. And you had your super strength and your telekinesis, and it was fun to do. They brought it in the third one for a DLC, but you didn't get to keep it, which I thought sucked. So I was really glad when they brought it back in the fourth one. My next one, BioShock Infinite. I love BioShock series again, but Infinite I decided was my favorite. The BioShock Infinite had a fantastic story. I loved the relationship between Booker and Elizabeth. The characters were great. The Lutises were amazing. They had some great quotes in that game from them. The combat system for all the BioShocks were fantastic. The use of the vigors and the powers where you can light people on fire with the snap of your fingers or just pick things up. It's just great. I love having those powers. And then you've got the traditional guns, which was a little disappointing in Infinite because you only got to carry 2, opposed to its predecessors where you got to just have the whole wheel of guns. But it worked. It still would have been nice to carry the other ones, but it worked. And I loved the DLC for Infinite because they the Clash in the Skies was just you going through and just beating people up. But Burial at Sea, where you played as Elizabeth, it really tied the whole series together because it showed you how what happened in Infinite affected the original BioShock 1 and 2, where the scientists from the first the 1 and 2 were working together with Infinite, and their theories were being melded together and combined, and how it just fit, and it all started to make sense when I played that, and it was great. And it was a good game all around. Next one on my honorable mentions is going to be Halo 3. The story was fun. It was good. It was nice to play with my friends. But what really made this game for me was the multiplayer, and not the matchmaking. The matchmaking was fun, where you go in, you get your ranks up, and all that. It was fun, but it wasn't as good as the custom games. Having custom games and Forge mode, because that was the game where they introduced Forge mode, where you can build your own levels, and just designing levels and then playing your game types on those. It was fantastic. I have so many Forge mode maps on my hard drive for Xbox. I've got a hard drive with just maps and maps and maps that either myself or some of my friends have made, And I could just, whenever I think of Halo 3, I think of playing Infected. Infected on Sandlot, just riding around in the sand in a warthog, just being chased by 7 zombies and running for your life. And eventually ending with somebody cutting you off and just bringing your life to an end. But those custom games are what made that game for me. And if I could go back and just live in that time, I would, because that was a great time. It was such a good time with my friends, and I loved it. The last honorable mention for my list is going to be Spec Ops: The Line. It was a good game. It wasn't a great combat game. There was nothing special about the combat. There was nothing special about the multiplayer. It was pretty generic in the sense of those where, you know, you're shooting people. It's the same old shit there. But what really made that game for me was the story and the characters. It's one of the only games where I haven't been able to say, oh, it's going to end like this. The ending, I never expected. The choices that you had to make in that game, they sucked. I didn't want to make the choices that I had to make in that game. That game hands you a gun, points your hand at your dog, and tells you to shoot. And you don't have a choice. You have to. Either that or give up. And it brings a whole, it's not the Call of Duty, hell yeah, America. It's, holy shit, what did I just do? I am a terrible person. And it makes you feel like a terrible person, but it was just so well done. And it's different. It's different from everything else. And I would highly recommend that if you're looking for something different, but still a shooter. And that's the end of my honorable mentions. So, the number 1 game, here we go. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. RPG, love this game. I loved what they did with it. It's, number 1, it's in the Star Wars universe, which, hey, great universe. Who doesn't love it? The story behind the game, it was fantastic. Playing as the Dark Lord Revan when you had no idea the whole game. And just being immersed into this world of Star Wars and, you know, becoming a Jedi and using the lightsabers and dual wielding them, because that was my favorite thing to do, and leveling up your powers, and which I loved leveling up because it was a lot like, all the leveling system was a lot like Dungeons & Dragons, which I love Dungeons & Dragons, and they used the same skill, they used the same attributes, they had the same skill system, and they had the feats, or I can't remember what they called them, feats or perks, but it was a lot of the same system, which was fantastic. And even the combat, you know, you'd have a +3 to hit, and a +2 to hit with your other weapon, and to me, it was basically like you were automatically rolling d20s, and you were adding in your modifier, and then you were, you know, going against their defense, and it was great to have. And it was, unfortunately, it's an older game, so the graphics aren't that great, which I would love if they remade it and added the interface from the second game, because the interface from the first one was good, but the second one, they really got the interface down. And the second one was also fantastic, but it wasn't done. They were only halfway through done with the game, and they were forced to finish it, which you can still find all that content on the disc, but it's not, if you're just playing the game, it's not there. And, you know, the first one, you decide to be, you got the good and evil. You can be good, you can be a Jedi, or you can be a dick and be Sith, choke people out if you want. I usually went with the Jedi route because I feel terrible doing terrible things to people. And this is the game that took me away from World of Warcraft, because I was playing World of Warcraft every weekend, and my family went away for the weekend, and I stayed, and I decided to come out of my room and play Xbox, and that was the game I played. And from that weekend on, I stopped playing World of Warcraft, and I started playing my Xbox. And I got rid of my World of Warcraft subscription for a while, and I picked up an Xbox Live subscription, which really it sort of changed my life in the way of my relationship with my friends, because all my friends were getting Xboxes at the time, and that's where we hung out. We hung out on Xbox Live and played games together. And if I hadn't done that, I really would have missed out, and I'm really glad that I did. And speaking of friends, Knights of the Old Republic was one of my favorite games, but it was also one of my friend Josh, who I mentioned before, favorite games. I lost Josh about 3 years ago now, and the last time that I ever talked to him, I was playing this game. It was me, my friend Tom, and him. And I was playing this game, and they were doing something else. I don't remember what they were doing, but it was just us three talking and having a good time. And not 2 days later, I realized that I would never talk to him again. And that sucked, but I would always have that memory of me playing that game and talking to him and having a good time. And it's just, I love that game. And I still play it, even though it's so old, and I've played it so many times, and I love it. And that's going to be it for my top 10. Those are my top 10 games. Every single one I love, and either because it's a great story, or because it's got sentimental value, or both. And it's not always how the game runs that makes it a great game in my book. It's their stories and the memories, and how much fun you had playing it, and who you had fun playing it with. So thanks for joining me. I hope that in my describing of these games that you will go play some of these and have as much fun that I did with them, because they're fantastic games, and you can get lost in them. Thank you very much. Let the sadness flow through you.